right there. Before you leave, thinking this is just another boring Chinese EV sedan that's never going to go overseas, I want to challenge that notion because this is from Geely. Geely have their fingers in many pies, so what they've built in this car is really a showcase of the innovation that's going to take place in EVs over the next 2 years. Of course, we're in Hangzhou, home of Geely, and this is the Geely Galaxy E8, and welcome to the Fully Charged Show.
Like Fully Charged? Then you'll love our fun-packed everything electric expos around the world. Next up, we're in London and Harrogate. Remember, energy and transport professionals go free on the first day.
Now, Geely have been so busy launching and buying new brands around the world, they've kind of forgotten about their own brand. They had a bit of a brain fart, I think, and said, oh, we should actually probably do something about this. And that's why they brought out the Galaxy E8. Of course, Geely's had its own brands for quite a while now, but this one is the first one to make a big splash, and it really is a showcase of innovation, technology, and more importantly, affordability. Now this showcases what will happen with the Geely brands over the next few years in terms of technology and what's stuffed inside the Galaxy E8. This is why it's such a significant car for Geely. So it's important to note that this car is based on the SEA architecture. So that is the same one which sits under the Zeekr 001 and the new Polestar 4. So it's a very well-used chassis architecture. And I think that's a very big positive for this car because it means you get all of the benefits of those cars, but for a much more affordable price. And you can really feel those benefits. The more time I spend with this car, the more I think it feels like Grandad's car. Now that's not a bad thing. I'm not writing this off as an old person's car. It's a good thing because Grandad drives a Toyota Camry, for example. He wants to upgrade into something electric. This really does answer all of his prayers. But he wants to do it with a bit of style and a bit of bling. Thankfully, he's got 158 LEDs in the front bumper to help with that. He's also got active aero, giving it a really slippery drag coefficient of just 0.199 CD, very much like the Ion Hyper GT that we drove a few weeks ago. Now, most importantly, this slippery body allows Grandad to drive efficiently and quickly. So when he's driving around to Mabel's house for crumpets and chill, he can get there even quicker in the Galaxy E8. Now down the side, there's not much to speak about. It does have radar and LiDAR. It's got the smallest LiDAR units on the market at 55mm high, if that really bothers you so much. Lots of influences down the side, Neo ET7, Xpeng P7. You know, it's not particularly stand out in terms of design, but it's not a bad looking car from this angle. Right, so this is the boot space. As you can see, it's absolutely massive. Like 463 litres of boot space. You could easily fit two of me in here. Look how deep it is. I'm right in the back. And I've got a false floor as well with even more space. The only problem is, apart from I'm out of breath, this aperture is quite small, so it's not the most practical back here. However, I want to show you what's around the front in just a second. Let's just close that, readjust myself. Quite Porsche Taycan looking back here. A few influences here and there. But we come around to the front, there's a frunk, which is in here, giving us another 53 litres of boot space. It's good that they got both. So practical as well as affordable and packed full of technology. Is that shut? No. Now it's shut. Right. There really is only one word to describe this interior, especially in the front. That word is screen. Screen, screen, screen. It's a massive 48-inch screen. It's one screen, it's not multiple screens, 8K resolution. It's absolutely bonkers. Now, I was thinking I was going to really not like this, but in actual fact, it fits the car really well. I've got the right amount of controls on here. I've got great touchscreen responsiveness. It's very fast. The whole dash moves when I move the car around. It's fun. It's awesome. I've also got games. I can play a computer game on here called Asphalt 9, which is a racing game. The problem is, you're focused so much on this screen that you kind of forget everything else in here. And it's, you know, pretty feature packed anyway. I've got some buttons here. I've got this nice touch knobbly dial thing. I've got my wireless charging, I've got USB-C, I've got touch to open doors, I've got great materials, I've got floating speakers. There's so much going around, but you immediately focus and get drawn into this screen. Now, I don't know how good this is when you're driving around for long trips. Is it too distracting? I don't know. However, my biggest issue with this car, and with this screen in particular, what happens in 5 years? What happens in 10 years? When this screen is obsolete, when this software is obsolete, it won't be able to run on this car anymore. What happens then? Do you have to junk the whole car because the screen doesn't work? That's always my concern, you know, with buttons, you know, they can be replaced, they're quite easy to replace, but with screens and this kind of packed full of tech, my worry is that after a few years, you have to throw the whole thing away. I mean, I'd be interested to see how that would be addressed in the future, but that's my only concern at the moment. There's not much to talk about in the back. I've got seats, got some leg room, got some air conditioning, got a nice panoramic roof, velour-y stuff up here. Let's be honest, the back is boring. It's really boring in here compared to that massive screen at the front, which even from here is sucking me in to its depths of colour and technology and funness. It's connected to the internet. To be honest, you know, it's not actually that feature rich in the back. I've got very basic features, but one thing I do have is a really lovely handle to open the door. Metal, big and thick, not a stupid touchy button, which doesn't work half the time. Now underneath the car, this has a 475 kilowatt motor, giving it more than enough oomph in city situations or if you're going around the B roads in the countryside. But this is much more suited to gently ambling along, bumbling along in a quiet EV mode. It's very much like a Rolls Royce in that respect. So the various models have different ranges. I think the one we have here today has about 660 kilometers of NEDC range, I think, or it might be the other Chinese one, but a lot overestimated. So decent range. The battery, I think, is between 60 and 80 kilowatt hours. So pretty standard features these days on these big sedans here in China. I do have to say though, this driving experience is a step above Geely products of the past, especially Geely's own brand. I think they have taken all that combined knowledge with them and really made a very good car. There's a few neat other features in here. We've got the top of the range one. We've got a heads-up display so I can see my speed in there very easily. We've got these floating speakers which look great and also actually sound great, which is good for a luxury sedan like this when I'm playing Asphalt 9 on my 45-inch screen. Another cool feature they've got is these visors, which are tinted plastic, but instead of just having a solid bit down here, it's tinted here, so it actually means I can see, but it blocks the sun out of my eyes. I feel like Wing Commander Richards reporting for duty of RAF Shanghai. All of that doesn't make sense, but it's really quite cool, and I like it. More automakers should do this. So who does this car appeal to? Well, I think it appeals to almost everyone, but it's definitely going to appeal to that Toyota Camry driving grandparent. They want the safety, they want the reliability, and they want it in a really good package. That is what this car delivers. If you want something a bit more brutish, a bit more exciting, you're going to go for the Lotus if you have the money. But this is going for the market where perhaps people don't have huge amounts of money to spend on a new car. And so this really appeals to them. Now, whilst BYD are grabbing all of the headlines these days, overtaking Tesla, Geely are not actually that far behind, except they're split between many different brands. And the thing is, because they've got the scale, they can weave a nice little thread of affordability through the products that they offer. And this is a case in point, because this starts at 175,000 RMB, goes up to 228,000 RMB. But I hear what you say, Elliot, this is not going to come to my country, why should I care? Well, I might have told a little bit of a porky pie earlier. This car is tipped to go to global markets later this year. That's what's most exciting. this kind of scale, this kind of affordability will begin going overseas very, very soon.